Are you a business owner or employee who needs to network but is terrified of walking into a room full of people you don't know? Are you afraid of being left out of conversations or being awkward in the conversations you do have? Your tour guide, Faithann, is here to walk alongside you through the networking terrain, offering tips and tricks to network with ease. She'll also bring insightful interviews with successful business owners who have used networking to expand their businesses. Building relationships is the heart of networking, and generosity is the cruise ship that will navigate you toward those important relationships for your business or career. Grab your sunscreen and suitcase. Faithann is ready. Are you?
Hello there, and welcome to the Networkers Tour Guide podcast. I'm glad you found the show. Networking is providing opportunities for others that they would not have except for you, so that you have standing to ask for opportunities from people when you need them. How do we create opportunities for others, and how do we ask for those same opportunities? Well, that's what this podcast is all about. It's what I'm here for. Let's dive into episode 31. Listeners, thank you for coming back to the Networkers Tour Guide podcast. I want to thank you so much for listening, for tuning in. And I have another exciting guest for us this morning. I have Patricia Viscount with Patricia Viscount Consulting. Patricia, thank you for coming on to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Faithann.
You know, everything that I'm doing for Networkers Tour Guide ties back to networking. And some people have a direct path, like our guest last episode, Will Yarbrough. Direct path. He's in my BNI chapter, so it made sense for him to come on. Now, Patricia has a little bit of more of a windy path, but when I look back, I can still track it back to networking. So Patricia and I are both in Nikki Rausch's Sales Maven Society. And I first came to understand Nikki's work through a workshop she did for BNI. And Patricia, since you've been in BNI, you'll know when I say business builder, you'll know what I'm talking about. BNI stands for Business Networking International, and their online platform for their members is called Business Builder. And in Business Builder, you can go and get all kinds of training. And so Nikki's selling staircase piqued my attention. So from there, I was able to learn a lot about sales, and then I entered her sales funnel. I got into the Sales Maven Society, and then Patricia, that's where you came in because we were on a call in the Sales Maven coaching call together, and you were talking about some really interesting quizzes and things that you're doing in your business and how you were really wanting to push that. And so that's how you came to be on the Networkers Tour Guide podcast.
Yes.
Did I get all that right?
You absolutely did. And I used to be in BNI, so I totally, because of that, I see the value of the giver's gain and really building those deep relationships. Yes.
So tell the listeners what you do.
So I am a conversion copywriter, and I service providers like coaches and consultants hire me to attract their ideal audience through what I like to say fun, because even IT specialists still want to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So authentic, true to their brand, voice strategies, website copy, and email marketing. And they want to scale their business to the next level. They want to get a better level of client, better paying client. And I do that with my framework, which involves interviewing their clients and getting very specific information about why their clients chose them. So we call it voice of customer, and it really helps me help them differentiate in a crowded market like IT specialists or wealth managers or something like that, where there's so many people within that niche that you really do need to differentiate yourself from the competition.
That's really great. And you know, Nikki Rausch, who is in the Sales Maven, she's the connection that we have. She talks about asking your client what made you say yes. And so that reminds me of what you're doing. You're going to the clients instead of the business owner. You're going to where the heart of the matter is by saying, what made you say yes to choosing XYZ company? Because those words matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if I can tell a really quick story.
Sure.
So one of my very first clients was a restaurant owner And when we were talking about his marketing and his messaging, he told me that his ideal client, or the people that came to his restaurant, were people that were searching for a really good steak. That he was a steakhouse. And when I actually talked to the clients, they came for the experience. The chefs were out within the restaurant, and they were doing the show. It's called teppanyaki. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but it was so interesting because he was marketing to this particular message where he was positioning his business completely wrong, because that's not why they were going. They were going for the fun and the show and the energy in the restaurant. So just because of that messaging disconnect, we were able to, get him back on track and start helping him get more people and talking to the right people.
I can understand how that would be a completely different message, you
Yeah,
know?
it was quite interesting.
Yeah, so that's again, that's why it's so important to ask your clients what made you say yes. So I have a quick story that kind of relates to this. So my referrals in 60 seconds manual that helps networkers with their pitch, or in BNI we call it the 60-second presentation. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, this is ideal for new networkers who don't have any idea how to put what they do in 60 seconds. It's for people who are shy. It's for different people, and it is. I was at my another BNI chapter recently, and I stood up, and that was my elevator pitch, was the referrals in 60 seconds manual. Well, somebody came up to me. He was a plumber. He came up to me right afterward, and he looked at me and he said, "How much for your book?" And I said, $97. And he said, "I'm going to get your book." Now, he has been in, do you know how long he's been in BNI? Like 10 years.
Really?
So
That's wild.
if I had not asked him, because later after I gave him the book, the next day I've messaged him and I said, "I'm curious, what made you say yes?" And he said, "I always like learning new things."
Wow.
So
And to be able to learn it and to improve your business, get better clients, get better aligned clients, that's amazing.
So now what I might say is I'm looking for the business owner who is always loving to learn new things. That's a completely different person than I'm looking for the business owner who would do anything except stand up and talk about their business for 60 seconds. That's a completely different angle, but I wouldn't have known that because I wouldn't have guessed that he would be a client ever. But he was like, "How much for your book?" And so here we go, you know?
Yeah, especially if you've been in business for that long and you're just learning the process of voice of customer or of networking, really diving in and getting better at networking, then I think that's really, and it's good to see people who have been in business for 10 years actually acknowledging the fact that they can get better. We can all get better, right? Our processes, our systems, they can all get better. That's
100%.
exciting.
Yeah, and my window cleaning business has been around for a really long time, but I'm still learning how to, write better emails. That's why I love Nikki so much, is because she's always teaching me new things.
Mhm.
And even in this business, Networkers Tour Guide is a different sales process altogether than the window cleaning clients, because when they come to me, there's no convincing. They just say, I need an estimate. I mean, often that's the first thing they say to me. I need an estimate.
Interesting.
So I don't have to go through all the staircase, as Nikki calls it. I don't need to. They're at close when they come to me. However,
Yeah.
Networkers Tour Guide, now we're a little bit more like, well, tell me about what you do, and I have this problem, and we do a lot more discussing. But it requires this openness from the business owner to know that you're never going to know everything.
Yeah. That's the amazing part, is trying to figure out, how do you differentiate yourself from your competition, and how do you articulate your unique advantage? And for me, when I'm interviewing your clients, I'm getting that voice of customer for your website, for your emails, but also getting testimonials as well, which obviously, as a business owner, you know that over 90% of people look at reviews and testimonials before they buy anything. So having those reviews or testimonials or um, accounts of people's good experience and what value you brought them is so important to success for a business owner.
Right. And in my referrals in 60 seconds manual, the very first thing you do after you say your name and the name of your business is you give a testimonial.
Oh, that's
You know,
excellent.
and it has to start with something like recently or last week or yesterday. It can't be vague. Like it has to have a timestamp because we want those people in the room to know that here in the present, I am getting results for my clients. Not 10 years ago or 2 months ago, but in the present, I'm
Yeah.
getting results. Let me tell you about the results that I just achieved for my client. Now that I've done that, I'm going to tell you who I'm looking for so that you
Mhm.
can, when those situations pop up, you can be alerted and your brain's going to say, "Ooh, there's something important about what Mary is saying." And then it will, "Oh, yeah, Faithann was talking about how she's looking for XYZ person. And
Yeah.
so it all goes together. But it does start with that very important testimonial. And people miss that in their 60-second. It's such a easy way to promote yourself without quote unquote promoting yourself. And
Yes.
they would do well to, listeners, if you are doing a 60-second presentation without a testimonial, consider putting one in. And it doesn't have to be long. It just needs to be
Yeah.
one or two sentences. Last week I helped a client achieve, this result by XYZ. Okay. So Patricia, one of the things that I learned about you in having you on the podcast is that you told me that you have a passion for what you do and you think that the in-person events allow people or prospects to see, hear, and feel that passion. So tell us a little more. I thought that was interesting the way you phrased that. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about that?
100%. So obviously, when you have LinkedIn posts or you have emails, people read and they get a sense of who you are and your values and that kind of thing and how you speak. But on an in-person networking event or something like a podcast, that conversation really lights me up. I love learning about people. I love finding out about it. And for me, the passion that I have for what I do really excites me. And it really, I get a lot of feedback that people love my energy.
Mm,
And as you were saying just before we went on to the subject, so last week I was at
there
an
you go.
event and this woman, it was a music event, and I love live music,
Mm.
and so I was really into the music. And at the end of the show, this woman walked up to me and she said, "I was watching you across the room," and she said, "You have such a great energy." She said, "I loved watching you." She said, her fiance was actually one of the acts that we were watching, and she said, "I wasn't watching him, I was watching you,"
Mm.
because I have that passion. And so I love live music. I love meeting people. I love what I do. I love helping business owners figure out what their passion is, what their differentiation is. And I do believe that when I'm in a conversation with people, that is what helps me um, get prospects to talk more with me or develop that relationship more with me, is because I have that passion. And yeah, it just comes across because I'm so passionate and I'm so energized by what I do. So I think that that really helps me, that energy, that passion really helps people get excited about the work that we can do together. So yeah, I just think it's really fun.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to network in person for any kind of business you're in. There is going to be a chamber of commerce in your city. There is going to be something that you can go to consistently and let people really see you. Let them know how passionate you are. And it's always fun to talk to people and then you kind of dance around different subjects and then you find one where the person's eyes light up. And then you say, I'm going to stay right here because this is what they want to talk about. So if you were at a networking event with me today and we were talking about window cleaning, you would just hear, yeah, we do interior and exterior. We clean the lights. But man, you say, well, tell me about an elevator pitch that you helped a client improve. Boy, howdy. I'm right there. My eyes are going to light up because I do window cleaning and I'm very grateful for it. But right now, my passion is helping people clarify, much like you do, but just in a slightly different way, who their client is, so the clients can get the benefit of their great expertise. That's why we're all in
Yes.
business, to help each other.
And I think the clarity that you bring from a networking perspective and helping people on that journey, I think that is so important because, yes, it's one thing about the elevator pitch, but I think that another one is helping people help themselves. So when you're talking about, this is how you can introduce me as a referral or that kind of thing, I think that is gold because so many people don't know. They assume that because you know them or because they understand what you do, they can automatically be a good referral partner. But when you actually tell them, if somebody is talking about this thing, this pain point, this challenge, then that's where you come in, and that's how you can bring up my business. That's how you can bring up, because I've told you what to look for and what to say. I think that's brilliant. I just think that's so brilliant.
Yeah, that's where the magic is. And I tell people all the time, we only know a shadow of what each other does. We know what we do, crystal clear. We only know a shadow of what other people do. So we have to fight those stereotypes by being very clear. And it may sound to you like, well, that's just so simple. You want me to tell the room that when my neighbor is saying this and this, then, like, of course they would know that, but they really don't. So I would tell, when I did for window cleaning, I would say, I'm looking for the business owner who is about to open a brick and mortar location and they are ordering a sign. When they order that sign, ask them, have you considered window cleaning as well? Because it's a natural. But, the people in the room aren't going to think of that unless I tell them, so you're so right about that. Like, we have to help our referral partners know how to bring us up or they won't refer us. And then we complain, nobody sends me any referral. Well, do they know how to send you a referral?
Exactly.
And that's probably, your business owners too. You're like, nobody's coming in my store. And you're saying to them, well, are you letting people know what's really in here?
Yes. And how do you talk about it, right? Is that, do you know what's in here and how we serve people, or
Mhm.
how we show what our values are? Are they aligned with what you believe in or what you find valuable? So yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So what's a pitfall for the listeners who what's the effect of not being consistent in your online and your in-person brand voice?
So what I like to take a look at, basically consistency. So if and that know, like, and trust factor. So obviously people buy from people, and they'll go to your testimonials and they see whether you can do what they need you to do. I have a challenge. Have you solved this challenge for somebody else? Yes. Okay, perfect. So now do I know, like, and trust you? So what they do most of the time is go on to your LinkedIn or go to your Instagram, or you have an in-person networking event and you see their name on the list of attendees and you think, I want to see that person. She does what I need. I have a challenge and they solve what it is. So you have a conversation in person and you feel like you can trust them. You really like how they talk. The phrases that they use are speak to you. They're simple, they're, or complicated if you're more of a professional brand that is looking at, bigger businesses or whatever. So they sound like somebody you can trust. And then you get on their email list and they're totally different. In person, they're fun and they're chatty and they have great vibe. And then you get on their email. But because we're taught in school to follow the grammar rules. A lot of people write emails like they write letters or, like they write a school assignment. And so then there's that disconnect. There's confusion. It's like in person, they were so great. Their emails are very formal or, they're rambling or they're long. And so then you don't know which one is the real one. And then you look at their LinkedIn posts. And then, so how do they show up there? So just consistency and having the brand voice, the same brand voice across all of your platforms. People know exactly how you're going to show up, how you're going to sound, how you get to work together. So it's that consistency and that comfort that when they get on a discovery call with you, it's like, this is what I love. This is what I trust. This is what I know. And that hump to get to know people is lowered because you are exactly the same way across all of your platforms, across all of their touch points with you, and they feel like they can move forward. So it really does make the sales process easier and just the relationship. If you're more of a relationship business, then you have people that again know, like, and trust you, and then if they have a great experience with you, they refer you, and it's so much easier. And it's so important because you want to show up as your authentic self. You want to have those relationships with people that you provide value and you feel good about it, and then that's when the passion comes out and the energy behind what you do and how you serve people.
Hi, listeners. Are you someone who struggles to make a great first impression when you meet others? Faithann has put together her guide to help you make a great first impression no matter where you are. This quick guide gives you simple tips to leave a powerful first impression, the first step to relationship building. Go grab this free resource today by clicking on the impressions link in the show notes.
100%. The takeaway from what you just said was that I'm using myself as an example. So if the last time I looked at my homepage on my website was, 2 years ago, how do I know that what people are reading when they visit my website is what I'm saying when I see them in person, right?
Absolutely. And that's the great thing because you evolve, your business evolves. So if you don't look at your website, if you don't look at the different ways you're showing up and align them, then absolutely. And people obviously they pivot, they offer new services like you moved from window cleaning to helping people network better. So it's just really interesting and it's a very good practice to look at how you're showing up regularly to make sure that you're still aligned with your current voice because people, like I said, they evolve. When I talk about brand voice, there's three different things. There are the words you use. Do you use utilize or do you use? Do you have $10 words or do you use 10-cent words? How approachable are you in your content or in your text? And then there's the tone. So are you more friendly? Do you use a lot of emojis in your writing? Do you like to share about your journey? That kind of thing. So that's the tone. Or if your ideal client is somebody that's more professional, like, are you dialing it back? Are you more buttoned up when you talk? And that could also be introverts. A lot of introverts are a lot more serious than extroverts like me. And then it's your frequency, it's your sentence length. So when you're writing posts, are you writing a paragraph of like really long sentences? Or are they short? Do you have a lot of bullet points? It's how you're putting out content and how people are consuming it as well. That's also really important when you're looking at the brand voice and that consistency. Do you use the same words over and over again? When you're writing, do you use emojis and bullet points and that kind of stuff? And are you short, choppy? Are you fun? Or are you longer where people really need to focus on what you're saying? That's really important.
So would it be fair to say that one is not better than the other? That either the professional or the casual, as long as it's the same throughout.
Yes.
Okay.
As long as it's the same and as long as it's you. You don't want to be on all the time, that mask. When I first started, that was who my target audience was extroverted business owners because they are often seen as being over the top or unprofessional, not quite there yet. But your people are going to love it because they align with it. They want that. They're like that. So they know, like, and trust you because you're like them.
Yeah, it all comes down to us, doesn't it?
Exactly.
All
100%.
roads lead to ourselves. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And to your point, you talk about showing up consistently, both online and in person, and using being authentic. And what I tell people too, one of the first things that I teach people when they take my networking classes is that if the experience they have with you at a networking event is different than, let's say that now they want to hire you, and now your employees aren't keyed into you real well, and it's frustrating, and they don't get that same level of attention, or you're passing them off to an employee but you're not doing a very good job of it, then you're doing all that work for nothing because it's not the same. They see you at the networking meeting. That's what they want when they call your
Exactly.
office to get an insurance quote. They want the insurance person they met, not a different version that is incompetent, unfriendly, all of that. They want it to be the same. And that reminds me a lot of what you're talking about. It has to be the same so we can trust that we're dealing with the same person throughout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the importance of brand voice. If you have more people in your company than you, the brand is everyone. So
Right.
there has to be consistency. I write brand voice guides for companies where I go into exactly that. What is the client experience? What is the voice? Obviously, what are some of the phrases? How do you show up? All of those things so that you can give it to your employees so that they understand how they show up to the customers and the clients. But also, as you grow, or if it's not your zone of genius and you get people to write for you, whether you're getting an employee to write for you, social posts, LinkedIn posts, that kind of thing, or you hire a writer, they know exactly how to write for you. They understand your personality, they understand what you're looking for. And then the revision, so the time that it takes to get something that sounds like you is way reduced because they have a guide. They have a guideline that we say this, we don't say that. We're authoritative, but we're not dry. My voice is a translator and a parent. So the parent is basically, I'm trying to get people to avoid the pitfalls that I have learned. Like a parent. As a parent, you're trying to teach your children, don't make the mistakes that I did.
Mm.
So that's my voice, is I'm trying to guide people through without making the same mistakes I did, or trying to help them along, guide them along the journey, making less mistakes or falling into the pits that I did. That is really important to have everybody in your business know that. That's a brilliant part of these guides, but it's also the brilliance of knowing exactly what your brand voice is.
That's so important. I'm really impressed with how you're thinking about this. And I want you to tell the listeners about the quiz. But before I do that, as we wrap this up, I always ask people two questions as we end the show. What do you like to see when you network? And what do you not like to see when you network?
That's a good one. What I love to see when networking are people who are open for other people to join their group. So I was at a networking event probably 2 weeks ago, and I went with a friend, and that was really interesting because it could either be because you go with a friend, you stick together, and then you have conversation with each other as opposed to expanding your group. So that was an interesting thing. That he and I stood behind or stood next to another set, like just two people that were talking, and we were there for probably about a really horrible, awkward minute. And, we obviously wanted to break in, but no judgment, whatever. But they ignored us for literally a minute. So that is one thing that, like, if you're coming to a networking event, please be open for others joining your circle. If you want to have a private conversation where you do not want to be interrupted, go to the side or do something, leave the room. But you're here for a purpose. So please be open and willing to have others join your circle. So I guess I don't know, that's kind of
That's kind of both.
yeah.
Something I learned in BNI actually was, have you ever seen them teach on the way people stand? Okay, so you should always be standing. If you and someone else are talking in a networking meeting, you should be standing next to each other, maybe slightly tilted in, but
Yeah.
never, ever, ever, ever face to face.
Yeah.
Because then nobody can come in. And
Yeah.
then if you're doing three people, you form a V. And so the two people on the outside should be facing the room so that
Yeah.
they can see when people are approaching, instead of a three people where everybody's completely facing in towards each other. How in the world can you possibly accept, something ridiculous like, excuse me, do you have a pen I can borrow? Oh, hey, I'm Faith Ann. Be aware of that.
Yeah.
You should always be with your body, should be positioned to where you can invite people easily in to come and talk to you. And like you said, at a networking event, that it is not the time to catch up with your bestie
Yeah.
on the latest gossip at the movie theater, or, what happened
Yeah.
to you with your kids last night. Don't do
Yeah.
that then, because then the other thing is that when your focus of your conversation should always keep others in mind, because
Yeah.
even if people are next to you and you've joined them in, but you don't have a conversation that everybody can play in, they're going to go find somewhere else to play. And what if
Yeah.
that person that you're excluding by not talking about something that they can identify with, their mother is your ideal client, but you don't know because you have essentially, acted like high school.
Yes.
Let's grow up a little bit and let's know what we're there to do. We're there to make connections, to be open and for new experiences. And the best way to do that is to always include people and talk about things that they can identify with. Don't ever stand face to face in front of somebody. Like, that's what it sounds like these gentlemen were doing.
Yeah. It was very awkward, but absolutely, I think that it's just about your body language and how you positioning it. Absolutely. Can I say another little thing about networking? So I was looking at something the other day and they were talking about networking tips. And what I loved was they were talking about name tags. And they said, look at how other people are filling out their name tags. If obviously BNI has like printed name tags, but if you go to an event, you get to write something on your name tag,
Mhm.
put your full name, but put something interesting, like a conversation starter. So for me, because I used to be in the army, when I retired from the army, I went into oil and gas, so energy. So a lot of male dominated, very complex jargon. So something that I could put is complex jargon interpreter or
Oh,
something like
yeah.
that, where people can go, oh, that sounds interesting. What does that mean? So it's an opener to have a conversation with somebody that isn't necessarily Patricia Viscount Consulting.
Right.
Yeah, and that's it. So I
Right.
just thought that was really quite interesting. So I thought maybe your listeners would be interested to think about that.
That's a great tip. Yeah, put a little explainer or a little
Hmm.
on your thing, and the more fun the better, because that'll pique that interest. Dr. Ivan
Exactly.
Meisner, who is the founder of BNI, he has I think a podcast episode or maybe a blog about wear your name tag upside down on purpose.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then it's a great conversation starter. And then, oh, your name tag's upside down. And then you can say something cute like, oh, I was wondering how long it would take you to notice or
Yeah.
whatever. The more clever, some people are really clever. I'm not very clever, but I'm engaged. I want to know about people. But
Yes.
man, with the right person, that upside down name tag could be so much fun. We want to have fun. I mean, fun
Yes.
needs to be part of the program, and when we don't include others, we're really keeping them from having any fun at all. Are they going to
Absolutely.
come back if they don't have fun? Probably not.
No. And that is a great thing about brand voice. Because if your brand voice is fun, then people are going to remember that. And then your emails or you should keep going with that fun, because that's why people enjoyed you in the first place. That's why people reached out to you or followed you on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever. So it is making sure that if you come up with that fun thing, the name tag upside down, the non-spammy marketer or whatever, then if that's who you are and that's who you are authentically, then yeah, you have to talk about that all the time, because that's why people will follow you, will want to work with you, will become one of your raving fans.
Right. And they'll pull their credit card out too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Patricia, this has been so much fun.
Thank you so much.
Speaking of fun, you have a really fun quiz. Tell us about that as we wrap this up.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Faithann. It is a 10 question brand voice quiz, and it is basically a dip your toe into brand voice. So it's a couple of questions, and it really does try and help you figure out, where do you fall on the spectrum? Are you fun? Are you preppy and peppy, or are you more polished and professional? And the reason why it's important is because if you want to scale your business, if you want to attract the right clients, then you have to understand your brand voice and be consistent across all of the platforms that you're on, so that people get to know, like, and trust you. And so this really quick quiz is a great way to, like I said, dip your toe in, get to have an understanding of where you are, and then you can move forward from that. You can start making sure that all of your posts, all of your interactions, whether it's on podcasts or it's in live events, that they are all aligned, they're all consistent, and you sound like you are across all of them, and then your ideal client will naturally be drawn to you.
Well, and who doesn't want that? Yeah, that
Exactly.
sounds wonderful. And I took the quiz, but I have to go back and see what my voice is. And then Patricia has a really nice little offer at the end of it if you want to take advantage of that, where she can give you a little bit of help with your homepage, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and it's really exciting just to confirm that you're on the right track, that your homepage is in your brand voice, and then you can kind of tweak the rest of your pages as you need. But just to have that first step on the road, you just need that to overcome inertia, right? It's like,
Right.
okay, now that's really how I start. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I'll send you the link. If you could put it in the show notes, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm already thinking of some people that I need to send it on to. So, Patricia, it's been delightful. Thank you so much. And listeners, as you go and network, and as you do, make sure that you're staying consistent, that the people who see you in person get the authentic version of you that they've already had a taste of over social media platforms. Thanks again, Patricia.
You've been listening to the Networkers Tour Guide podcast with Faithann Patricia. Share this episode with a friend, and be sure to come back next week for more networking tips and tricks from the Networkers Tour Guide.